basically industrial metal yaoi. Tetsuo, the Iron Man, is a movie that was made in 1989. It is a Japanese movie. It is almost borderline beyond comprehension. I don't think it's entirely void of plot. Vague enough and vibes based enough that you can extract quite a lot of different meanings and metaphors from it. It is something that's been on my radar for quite a long time. It's always in those like iceberg listicles of like most disturbing movies ever. In hindsight, after watching it, sure, I hear a lot about Tetsuo being kind of an attack on your senses, mainly your audible senses. I don't know, I've liked industrial goth music my entire life, so it doesn't, if anything, it's just full of bangers. But I can understand someone who maybe does not listen to insane music, you know, it being quite grindy. I read on the Wikipedia that the director of this movie, who also edited the movie, said he felt a bit crazy and insane after taking so long to edit it, because obviously the music's going to get to you after a while. I have the soundtrack now on one of my playlists because I love it that much. I think it's great. I think it's up there with like other movie soundtracks. I've never heard anyone talk about this movie soundtrack as like in a positive way. It's pretty much always in a bad, ow, my head hurts, I have a migraine way, which I understand. I'll just get into what it's about, because I personally think it's very interesting. You can extract quite a few different meanings from it. It's got some commentary on like how being a salaryman is kind of a dead end, sad life. Becoming your true ultimate self, accepting your true weird self in the end. And I think it has a lot of queer overtones, a lot of gay overtones. I am not the first person to see this. When I first watched the movie, I was like, this is gay in a positive way, of course. And then when I looked up stuff after, there's articles about it. The fact there's like a few essays about it, how you can extrapolate quite a queer, gay message from this movie, which is one of the reasons why I think it clicked with me quite hard after watching it. Because sure, I went into thinking, oh, this is going to be a funny, quirky movie with metal men and stop motion, and then I was like, oh, this is gay. And I was on board. The movie has a very distinct style. It is black and white. It uses a lot of stop motion, kind of nebulous storytelling. So a lot of the stop motion is used for when the characters are running down the street. They're like stop motion-y. Like you can tell that they've taken a picture, they've moved forward a bit, taken a picture. It's really effective at conveying speed. And it has a very like anime quality to it where it feels very ridiculous and over the top. You can sort of tell this movie was made from an artistic intent. You can tell that a lot of the shots and a lot of the plot devices and things that move the plot along are there for vibes and because it looks cool. So I'm going to get into the plot of the film. Please remember that this movie's definitely best to go watch it. It's only like about an hour long. It is not a long film. I'll probably end up talking about this movie more than, you know, the actual length of the film. So strap in, lads. So it opens with a guy shoving metal into his leg. He's kind of surrounded by like wires and metal and stuff. He is our metal fetishist. And then obviously he shoves this metal into his leg. It gets infected. There is maggots in his leg. It is gross. It is a gross shot. And I will say that the sound effects here, grim. There's a bit where he puts a metal pipe through his teeth and you can really feel it. You can like, I don't know if you can know what I mean, but when you hear a certain noise, you can feel it in your teeth. That's the kind of thing I mean. He's so upset about his infected metal wound that he runs out into the road and gets hit and run by a couple. And it plays very unexpected jazzy music. It's almost like cafe jazzy sexy music. Probably very deliberate. It cuts to a shot and it almost makes me think that the car has this on it somewhere. It doesn't. but it has words in metal. It says new world in metal, and this will come up later, but there's like a shot of that. It feels like it's implied that the car is hitting him with this. And then we cut to Man. We're going to call him Salary Man. Just to note, neither of these characters actually have names in the movie, I believe. I did look them up, but they kept being credited as those two things. So I just keep it to that. But yeah, he is shaving in the mirror and he finds a bit of metal that's poking out of his skin. And he tries to pull it out and his like blood bursts. He also has like lots of very nice cats in his apartment. I enjoy the cats. The cats was a great addition to this movie. Our salaryman is on the phone and he's saying hello back and forth with his girlfriend over and over and over again. This is the kind of start of the analysis of queer. This may be a gay film, a gay analogy. This also is the start of the analysis of someone who's sick of their boring life, who's got into a rut. It can also be seen that way. There's also like a lot of cuts towards the TV in their apartment, and their apartment TV every now and then is playing like, I don't know how much I can say on this movie, on this YouTube video, but it's playing a CEX tape of him and his girlfriend, and it's kind of intercut. And it feels obviously like it's taped at first and it's playing on the TV. And the TV is used as a storytelling device. And this is where like the narrative gets a bit weird, because the TV is diegetic within the film. So you see his TV in shots and it's playing previous scenes from within the film. And it's used later on to convey a character's message. And I'll explain later on who this is and why this is happening, because I only clicked after the second time watching. I was like, oh, it's this. Okay, I got you. So our salaryman comes off the train at a train station. He sits down, he's kind of panicked, he's like sweating. Everyone is so sweaty in this movie. And he sits next to a woman, and this woman sees a blob of metal flesh on the floor. She touches it and it kind of implants onto her hand, and her hand becomes like a metal hand. And you see a vision, a flash of our metal fetishist from the beginning, kind of like in almost like a Gundam style wire room. And he's laughing. So it's kind of implying that he is a part of this machine like glob or something. I can explain. Don't panic. I can explain. So she touches it. It infects her arm. She goes crazy. Our salaryman sees her, and then she chases him throughout the train station. So this is another queer panic, gay panic thing, because this woman is terrifying to him and he is being chased. And there are some fabulous shots of this crunchy old train station. And I would give a big up to I love shots of industrial places. Some of my favourite photography is industrial places, and there's lots of that in this movie. Lots of trash, metal, not a fucking flower or leaf in sight. That's a lie. There are flowers later, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Lots of barbed wire. So the shots of the train station are beautiful. They're framed so well, and they're like all at these jaunty angles. The pacing of this movie is so quick. The way it's quick, but yet it lingers on scenes for a long periods of time. So I feel like he gets chased so far into the train station that he reaches to a bathroom, pushed back right into the corner of the bathroom. Bathroom, obviously a vulnerable place to be, very like could be sexual. So it's another like gay panic thing in my brain. He's like scared of a woman approaching him. So this girlie, he comes out of the bathroom, she pushes him so hard that he, in stop motion, gets pushed all the way out of the train station, all the way out the street, and into a garage. She has like anime levels of push and he run, you know? It's crazy. And she follows him as quickly afterwards. And she starts transforming. She actually rips off one of her breasts and she starts transforming into our metal fetishist. So her face becomes his face. Suddenly he is growing all this metal on the body. I think it just hard cuts, like he is revealed to be the metal fetishist who is fighting the salaryman. It hard cuts to the salaryman in his hallway. This one especially stands out to me. It's Bauhaus, it's almost German expressionist. It's stunning, and he's having these visions of turning into a metal monster. He has those visions, and then he grows, like at the back of his feet, like these go fast tubes. These tubes which allow him to go quick. They're almost like jetpack shoes, and he goes very, very fast down the street, similar to the shot of the stop motion thing, but he goes very quick. He like speeds off down there. So the next few scenes are going to be kind of hard to talk about on YouTube. I'm sorry if I have to use really stupid baby child words, because I kind of have to. I don't know how. I'm not that bothered about my videos being monetized, but I would like to keep this channel in standing order just in case that ever happens. But basically, let me read to you from my book. So he zooms off back home, presumably, and he starts having these, it's basically a dream, a vision of his girlfriend with a big snake, a big metal snake, if you will, in her possession, if you will. He has a intense scene with that snake where it may insert itself into places that he may or may not want, ? A terrible way of wording, but the whole thing is very scary but sensual at the same time. It's very intense but very can come across as sexy. Again, this can be interpreted as kind of like a gay panic type situation, because obviously he's imagining his girlfriend but with different equipment. So after that vision, he goes to the mirror and he wakes up, goes to the mirror and checks his cheek, and his cheek is mostly metal now, and his girlfriend is there, and they if you know what I'm saying, they do that, and everything is sweaty. The sweatiest movie I've ever seen in my life. It almost looks like before every single take they just got sprayed with a big old spray ball. Everyone is sweaty, even when they don't need to be, they are sweaty. So after the deed has been completed, he cooks her some eggs, which look fucked up, by the way, because he's scraping in the pan. He's a bad cook, obviously. And he feeds her these eggs, and the metal in her mouth is making these very loud, clanging, industrial metal sounds, like pipe clanging on the floor type sounds, if you know that sound effect. So you can see that the salaryman's transformation is starting to happen more so in a psychological way, because he is almost transforming into a metal fetishist himself. He's becoming intrigued and interested in the metal. Gay awakening element of trying to understand your sexuality and being kind of a bit shocked by it when the kind of, thoughts start coming into your head. Obviously, you cannot interpret that way. You don't have to. I think it's interesting. There's reasons why I think it really solidifies my take on it later. So he becomes so excited about the pipe fork metal sounds that he gains a drill-shaped object, a drill-shaped snake. He benefits from this, I think. You can probably see where this is going and why this is on the most disturbing horror movie lists. It's so silly and so grotesque and so crunchy at the same time that it does have a bit of a shock. It has a shock value to it, which makes it so appealing. It feels like you're watching a car crash happen, which does happen in the movie. This happens to him. In fact, it happens so powerfully that it goes up through a table. It's very comedic. And he is obviously quite aggressively transforming into a metal man now. It's rapidly happening to him. So he goes and hides in the bathroom, and his girlfriend is like, please come out, I'm not scared, I'm not shocked by anything at all, don't worry about it, I'm never shocked. And then he reveals himself to her and she screams. So girly, come on now. She's constantly like, please don't leave me, please don't leave me. Again, could be another like queer interpretation there, where she really doesn't want to be abandoned by him because of his new developments. He's like, fuck it. And they start fighting. He puts a fork in the electrical outlet into the socket, presumably to end things, but it just makes him stronger because obviously he's metal, so electric is going to make him more powerful. That's how that works, right? I sound like I'm being sarcastic, but this is just so hard to describe. He starts getting really aggressive and crazy because they're fighting, and he's becoming aggressive, crazy metal man, basically. I think there's a psychological element to this where he is feeling the transformation is making him kind of evil. There's not really anything that alludes to this, but he becomes very like, it seems like he's trying to push and pull that a little bit. The best quote in the film, "Want a taste of my sewage pipe?" the salaryman says to his loving girlfriend. She tries to stab him a few times. He does not die. She stabs him in the neck. She thinks that he dies. And then she proceeds to be so upset that her boyfriend is dead, that she had to kill her boyfriend, that she sits on the drill and she dies. Probably like the most like pretty disturbing. That is probably the worst part of the film, I will say. But it's weird because she does it herself, so it feels like it's quite sad. It's like she's just completely given up on this relationship and him, and she's so traumatized that she just decides to end it in the weirdest way possible. So you see our salaryman be upset by this. So that scene happens, and now this is like part of the movie that I'm a little bit confused by, because you see our metal fetishist, the guy who originally got run over by a car. He is in kind of like his Gundam wire metal place, but it is a bit more, it's larger now, and he's kind of it almost looks like he's in the garage he was earlier. It's kind of like his own little domain, but we never see like establishing shots of this or him walking into this. At this point in the movie, it's not clear if he is dead or not. You can probably take that he is dead because he got hit by a car. There's no like solid proof of it, so it's kind of hard to discern what's happening. It's hard to discern whether he is alive and he's in an actual real place, or if this is a kind of like ghostly metal realm is the only way I can describe it. So this is a bit of a weird thing I couldn't quite pass. So it's almost as if the TVs in the film are kind of like metal fetishists, like POV, or his eyes, like the way he is seeing things through his vision. Because on the TV that the fetishist sees through, there's a doctor, and this doctor is saying that there's a piece of metal in his brain and it's become part of his brain now. And I thought to myself, like, getting hit by a car was probably the best thing that could happen to this guy, because he loves metal. He just loves it. He wants it in his body at all times. So we have that kind of weird vision, and it does kind of make sense with more context I'm going to tell you in a minute. But watching the film, it feels not mysterious, it feels hard to understand, which is the complaint I fear that this film is going to get. But it's so weird and so like oddball that it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Like, the literal interpretation of this film does not matter, is what I'm trying to say. So we cut back to the salaryman's apartment. His dead girlfriend, he's put his dead girlfriend in the bathtub with flowers surrounding her. Very sweet, very sad. He is now nearly fully a metal man. He looks fucked up. It really just looks like on set they just found metal things and just stuck them to him, and that's how they created his suit. It's very good. I like it a lot. It's kind of insane. His drill, as I mentioned earlier, is ever present. It is always there. You see it throughout the whole film. It's always happy. It's just insane that this man's just walking around like this. And they show quite a lot more of it than you think that they would. You see it quite, like, almost in full daylight. So it's quite, you know, audacious of them to do that, because it looks amazing in the film, but I think in any other film it'd look terrible, you know? They get away with it. So Salaryman gets a phone call from our metal fetishist, and he says, "Drop dead, you metal freak." And then he reminds the Salaryman of the hit and run, and then it's revealed that the Salaryman and his girlfriend are the ones who did the hit and run on the metal fetishist, but they did not run. They scooped up his presumably dead body, took him to the woods. He's lying in a ditch in the woods, he's still alive, and then him and his girlfriend get so turned on by this that they proceed to do the deed. It is then sort of like, this is where my theory of the TV is not actually a tape, it is metal fetishist, that's such a hard word to say, but metal fetishist's man's POV. It's his point of view seeing these two do it while he's dying on the floor. It's kind of clever because I didn't quite clock this the first time I watched this, because it is presented as a tape, like a VHS tape. It looks that way. It seems like it's playing on the TV, but it is the guy's POV. It's what he is seeing, and there's no actual physical copy of this tape or anything, which would make a lot of sense for all the other stuff. So like the way he views the Doctor is like a POV of him seeing the Doctor like in a VHS format. So it's almost like he's become so infused with the metal, that's how he's starting to see stuff. And here is another queer gay take. The Salaryman in the deed making is not looking at his girlfriend. He is looking directly at the guy, almost like longingly. So there's another queer gay take where, you know, he is questioning his sexuality. Okay, now it's fight time. Now it is our anime conclusion fight time. Metal Man v Metal Man. Fetishist. He is running. You see, he looks quite normal. He is not a metal man. He is like just a guy. You see him like getting ready in his like metal wire Gundam suit place. This is why it's hard to pass if that's meant to be a real place or if it's meant to be like an inner domain or something. But you see him running towards the Salaryman's house with like a bunch of flowers. Very cute. May I add, very gay. And this fetishist can turn like anything he touches basically into metal. So like anything he touches, it like will grow metal over the top of it, and it's like very cool effect. It's all stop motion, it's all building on top of itself, which is really neat. And he basically touches a tap outside of the Salaryman's apartment. It like grows metal through the tap and then into the tap that his girlfriend is. And so he like does the thing that he did earlier where he kind of assimilates himself into the body of his girlfriend and like reanimates her. So she comes up out of the tub and she is like being gross and creepy and scary. He transforms into the metal fetishist, so it's him now. And he gets very close to the Salaryman. He gets very close to them. They look like they're about to kiss. I'm not gonna lie. He gives him his flowers and everything. It's quite cute. In a fucked up way. The metal fetishist is like, let me show you a new world. And we get this like really sick sequence which looks like something from Mad God. It's all stop motion and it looks like a planet that's been overrun by metal, or at least everything in it is metal. And our Salaryman is like in a plastic bag essentially, and he's in all stop motion. He's like transforming into the metal man. He becomes wires and his skull becomes wires. It is so awesome. It's probably one of the best parts of like visually parts of the movie. That happens, he kind of breaks out of his stupor, and then the jetpack foot stop motion chase happens. And this happens for quite a while. They are like chasing each other down the street, and they're both on their stop motion like thing. That it's weird because it's kind of poised to be a fight, but they don't really do a lot of fighting. They're not like punching each other that much or like, you know, trying to kill each other. At the moment, the Salaryman is running away from him. This is also another weird part of the film. I did read on Wikipedia that they had like cut some parts out of the film. They kind of go into an industrial estate and there's a homeless person there. And the homeless person is like beating, you see it POV shot. So the homeless person is like walking towards the camera and he starts beating up the floor, and as you don't see if he's actually like hurting anyone, but both the salaryman and the metal fetishist are like reacting as if it's hitting them. So it's kind of like implying some sort of like connection between those two. But I'm not really sure why this happens other than to maybe show that there is a connection between the two. Or like one gets hurt, the other gets hurt type deal. So the salaryman gets chased into a warehouse and he kind of gets like punched or backed up against a wall. The fetishist is basically using his metal powers to pull everything that's in the warehouse that's metal to fuse onto the salaryman, so everything's being pulled onto him almost like magnetically. It's a really cool shot. Again, it's stop motion. It just looks really like interesting and intricate. The fetishist makes a note. He starts talking about how he is all like rusty and what he, how he does his metal things is rusty because the pipe that he inserted into his leg right at the beginning was rusty. So he's like rust man. And the salaryman's like pristine silver because he had that metal part of the shaver in his face. So that's how he started to become, he's like shiny silver man. It's weird. It's a weird note. That does feel very, dare I say, anime. It does feel very that. So the salaryman is like basically taking up a defensive position on this wall because he can't move anymore. The fetishist tries to kill him. And what ends up happening is that the salaryman kind of like scoops him into his body. Again, incredible effects. It looks awesome, but he's like completely covered in wires and like random bits of metal. One of them says, "Don't you understand? Your future is metal." And I think the fetishist says this to the salaryman. It's such a good quote. It really hammers home the themes, I think, of the movie. Theme of fear of technology and the fact that technology is taking over. Obviously it's 1989, and it's like that fear, obviously the age-old fear of technology, and it is like a really good trying to accept that when you really don't want to. It also could be an acceptance of being queer again. And a giant phallic snake pipe pulls in the fetishist into the salaryman's body and they become one. There's a shot once they've fused together, this upside down shot of both these men in a void. Neither of them have metal on them, they're normal humans, and they have an arm fused. It doesn't even look like metal, it looks like fleshy. One of their arms is fused, so it's kind of a good final visual representation that they have finally connected and they are one, and they almost look like they're about to kiss in this. Again, my interpretation, it's not the only time someone has gleaned this interpretation from this, but I just think it's very interesting with all the other things happening in the film. And interesting thing here is that the jazzy music that played right at the beginning of the movie when the hit and run happened also plays in this scene. So it kind of is almost like a callback to how I feel like they were destined to be together, or that was the like beginning of their relationship, and this is kind of like the conclusion of it as well. There's a good through line because that's the only times that music plays, and it is so out of place while the rest of the film has been hardcore industrial metal music, literally pots and pans type stuff. Okay, so after the void, it cuts to them. They are a tank. One of them's on the top, one of them's at the bottom. I don't know which one's which. They're so covered in metal, they have now become, as one, a movable tank machine. I quote, "Our love can destroy the whole fucking world." That is a quote from the movie, and it's right at the end, and it's kind of implied that they take over the world. Of course, the movie's so low budget, so they basically have these very fast stop motion shots of them rolling down the street and kind of like all the good like metal industrial music, and it's like really wholesome. They've fused as one and they're just decided, this is what we are, this is finally what we have become, we have accepted it, let's destroy the world together. And of course, you can interpret this in many different ways. Destroying the world could mean maybe shaking up the status quo, maybe breaking out of certain stereotypes. It could also just literally mean they've destroyed the world. So you can take this movie in many different directions. Basically industrial metal yaoi. It's so good and so weird, and I recommend you go watch it if you think any of this sounds interesting. I do think the main kind of through line, like meaning of the film, is breaking norms and kind of like accepting yourself. And I think there's been a lot of interpretations, of course, from a cultural standpoint, because obviously Japan has very strict like work culture, salaryman, so kind of breaking out those norms and being a freak. Just being a freak. You're allowed to be a freak, everybody. Become Metal Machine Man and be a freak. You're allowed. So this movie's just so like visually inspiring as well. You can tell so many of the shots are just composed from like an artist's eye. You can see just like the crunchy, gross. This movie's kind of been compared to directors like David Cronenberg and David Lynch. I'm not really seeing the David Lynch angle, maybe just because Eraserhead is black and white and has industrial. Other than that, I don't really see maybe the sexual angle. The eroticism angle is quite a strong thing in a lot of David Lynch movies, so maybe that's why. But I do find it interesting. I would like to, if you watch this film, I'd really like to see what your takes are on it. Of course, there's no wrong or right interpretations of artwork. This is just personally how I feel from it as a queer person. I don't know if you could tell that. I don't make it very obvious. I'm quite subtle about it. So if you have a different interpretation, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And let me know if there's any movies that you would like me to review. I keep mentioning Mad God in my videos, so maybe I should finally do like a review overlook of that. I love stop motion stuff. It comes up a lot in my videos. Maybe that's just where my brain is at. I just love the fact that, I love art that's made by human hands and is like so obviously flawed that you can see how it was made. I love that stuff so much. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Watch it with your nan.